don't know about you, but the impression I always got of Lincoln's assassination was that John Wilkes Booth was an actor who really, really hated the president, and so in the middle of his show, he snuck into the president's box and bang! Zoom! Straight to the moon. But John Wilkes Booth was actually the leader of a much larger conspiracy that started weeks, maybe months earlier, with at least 6 other men. Originally, you see, Booth and the boys wanted to kidnap Lincoln and ransom him back to the Union in exchange for Confederate prisoners of war. They had everything worked out where they were going to grab him on his way back from a visit to the hospital, but they sat and they waited and waited with no sign of Lincoln. It turns out Lincoln had canceled at the last minute and gone instead to the exact same hotel where John Wilkes Booth was living. Well, pretty soon the Confederate Army surrenders and their whole government flees, but Booth and friends are still hoping against hope that they can rally the South back to action. So the kidnapping plot becomes a plan to decapitate the Union government. Booth is good friends with the owner of Ford's Theater in D.C., and he learns that President Lincoln and General Grant are coming to the show on April 14th. The conspirators met for the final time at 8:15 with plans to carry out the strike just after 10. Booth walks into the president's box without any trouble and blasts Lincoln in the back of the head with a single-shot pistol before grappling with the military officer sitting next to him, leaping onto the stage and making a hasty escape. He originally wanted to stab Grant to death at the same time, but Grant actually canceled at the last minute. Lincoln, in fact, was the only man assassinated that night because, luckily for America, Booth's co-conspirators weren't nearly as competent. George Atzerodt was the man tasked with murdering Vice President Andrew Johnson. He booked a room in the same hotel directly above the VP's. At the same moment that Booth takes Lincoln's life, Atzerodt is walking by Johnson's door with a gun in one hand and a knife in the other, and he keeps walking. He goes to the bar downstairs and orders a drink, starts talking to the bartender to see what he knows about Johnson. He wants to do this right, okay? So the bartender tells him what kind of a guy Johnson is and all that, and it's maybe a little weird that this guy is asking so many questions, so Atzerodt orders another drink for courage, and a third for good luck. He keeps drinking until 2 in the morning when all of DC is on a manhunt for Booth, and Atzerodt is swaggering through the street piss-drunk until he stumbles into another hotel, books a room, and passes out. The final assassination attempt that night was Mr. Lewis Powell's mission to kill the Secretary of State William Seward. Now, Powell was fearless. He had a job to do, and by gum, he was gonna do it. Doesn't mean he was gonna do it well. Powell knocks on the secretary's front door and explains that he was sent by the doctor to deliver medicine to the ailing Seward. He just needs to pop upstairs real quick to show him how to take it. Seward's son is home and doesn't buy the story, so Powell pulls out his gun, points it at his head, and it misfires.
We can still use them as clubs!
Powell bonks him on the head until he's unconscious and runs upstairs. He finds the bedridden Secretary of State, takes his knife, and stabs him in the face. His victim was literally bedridden, and he wasn't able to take his life. He then ran out the front door, bumping into a government messenger, stabbed him for good measure, and started screaming, "I'm mad! I'm mad!" The defense did not work for him in court. Powell and Atzerodt were both charged with conspiracy and sentenced to hang. For more on John Wilkes Booth's life and many failures, check out the video on screen.